Scary telling.
I can't believe we've managed to find this farmhouse. It's a small oasis of safety in an otherwise dead world. As we arrive, I take a deep breath and feel a momentary sense of relief. We've been on the run for so long, it's nice to finally have a place to settle in for a while. We quickly set to work fortifying the farmhouse, boarding up the windows and doors with whatever we can find. We've been through this process so many times now, it almost feels routine. But even with all our precautions, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. It's an eerie feeling that creeps up on me every time we stop for the night. We take stock of our supplies, and I try not to dwell on how little we have left. It's getting harder and harder to find food and water out here, and we've had to rely on our wits to survive. I miss the days when I could just pop into a grocery store and buy whatever I needed. Now, it's a struggle just to find a can of beans or a bottle of water. As the night begins to fall, we settle in for the night. We build a fire in the fireplace and huddle around it for warmth. I try to ignore the creaking and groaning of the old wooden floors, but every noise seems amplified in the otherwise dead world outside. I miss the sounds of nature, the rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, but those days are long gone. We take turns keeping watch, but it's hard to stay alert when there's nothing to see or hear. The darkness outside is impenetrable, and I can't help but wonder what's lurking out there. But for now, we're safe, and that's all that matters. As I drift off to sleep, I can't help but dream of a time when the world was still alive and the future seemed full of hope. I'm jerked awake by the sound of footsteps upstairs. I sit up, my heart pounding in my chest. It takes a moment for me to register what's happening. We're being attacked. I grab my weapon, a metal pipe we found earlier, and try to steady my shaking hands. My eyes adjust to the darkness as I wait for the monsters to come down. I hear my companions doing the same, and I feel a sense of solidarity. The footsteps grow louder and closer until they're right above us. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and a horde of cannibalistic monsters rushes in, their eyes glowing in the darkness. We're caught off guard, but we fight back with everything we have. I swing my pipe wildly, trying to hit anything that moves. The monsters are fast and ferocious, and it's hard to keep up. I hear screams and growls as the fight rages on. I don't know how long it lasts, it could be minutes or hours. Time seems to lose all meaning in the heat of battle. Despite our best efforts, the monsters are too strong and too many. One by one, my companions fall until only one of us remains. I hear them scream as they're dragged away, and I'm frozen with fear. But I can't stay here. I know I have to escape, or I'll end up like them. I run towards the door, dodging the monsters as they lunge at me. I hear their growls and snarls behind me, but I don't look back. I burst out of the farmhouse and into the darkness. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I have to keep moving. I hear the monsters chasing me, their footsteps pounding on the ground. I'm running on pure adrenaline, my lungs burning as I gasp for air. I don't know how long I can keep this up, but I know I have to try. I have to survive, or I'll be just another victim of this dead world. I run through the darkness, my heart racing and my lungs burning. I can hear the monsters chasing me, their growls echoing in the stillness of the dead world. I'm not sure how long I can keep this up, but I know I have to try. As I run, I notice something strange. The air is thick with smoke and ash, making it hard to breathe. It's like running through a thick fog, and I can feel my throat closing up. I try to ignore it, focusing on putting one foot in front of the other. But the smoke and ash only get worse, and I can feel my lungs starting to burn. Suddenly, I realize what's happening. This isn't just smoke and ash. It's the dead zone, where the air is toxic and deadly. I've heard stories about it on the radio, but I never thought I'd be running through it myself. I'm gasping for air now, my lungs burning with each breath. I try to cover my mouth with my shirt, but it's no use. The toxic air is everywhere. I stumble and fall, coughing and wheezing as I try to catch my breath. I can feel my chest tightening, and I know that I don't have much time. I look around frantically, trying to find a way out. But there's nothing but darkness and smoke, and I can't see more than a few feet in front of me. I'm about to give up when I see a faint light in the distance. It's small and flickering, but it's enough to give me hope. I start running towards it, ignoring the burning in my lungs and the pounding of my heart. As I get closer, I see that the light is coming from another farmhouse. I don't know if it's safe, but I don't have a choice. I have to keep moving. I burst through the door, panting and gasping for air. The farmhouse is empty, but I don't care. I collapse on the ground, coughing and wheezing as I try to catch my breath. I'm not sure how long I lay there, but eventually, the burning in my lungs starts to subside. I take deep breaths, savoring the clean air. But even as I catch my breath, I know that the dead zone is still out there. It's a reminder that this world is not just dangerous, but deadly. And I'm not sure how much longer I can survive in it. I sit in the farmhouse, trying to catch my breath and recover from the deadly air of the dead zone. My mind is still reeling from the attack, and I'm not sure what to do next. But I know that I can't stay here forever. I have to keep moving if I want to survive. I take stock of my supplies and find a few weapons and some food and water. It's not much, but it's enough to keep me going. I decide to leave the farmhouse and keep moving, hoping to find some other survivors or a safer place to rest. But as soon as I step outside, I realize that I'm not alone. The monsters from before are still out there, lurking in the darkness. They're waiting for me, and I know that I have to fight back if I want to survive. I fortify the farmhouse as best I can, boarding up the windows and doors with whatever I can find. I know that it won't keep the monsters out forever, but it might buy me enough time to figure out my next move. As I wait for the monsters to attack, I try not to think about how low I am. I miss my companions, and I wish that we could have fought back together. But I know that I can't dwell on the past. I have to focus on the present if I want to survive. Suddenly, I hear the monsters outside. They're scratching at the doors and windows, trying to find a way in. I take a deep breath and grip my weapon tightly. It's time to make my stand. The monsters burst through the door, their eyes glowing in the darkness. I swing my weapon wildly, trying to hit anything that moves. The monsters are fast and ferocious, but I'm determined to fight back. The fight rages on for what feels like hours. I'm covered in sweat and blood, and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this up. But I know that I have to keep fighting if I want to survive. Finally, the monsters break through the barricades and swarm towards me. I swing my weapon wildly, trying to hit as many as I can. But it's no use. They're too strong and too many. I'm about to give up when I see a glimmer of light in the distance. It's small and flickering, but it's enough to give me hope. I run towards it, dodging the monsters as they lunge at me. As I get closer, I see that the light is coming from a group of survivors. They're armed and ready to fight, and I know that I've found my new companions. I run towards the group of survivors, hoping that they'll let me join them. As I get closer, I see that they're a mix of ages and genders, but they all look tough and battle-hardened. They don't look too happy to see me at first, but I quickly explain my situation. They listen carefully, and after a few tense moments, they decide to let me join them. We continue to fight off the monsters as we make our way to a safer location. It's a hard and grueling journey, but we make it through. We share stories and try to find some hope in a world that seems devoid of it. But even as we huddle together, I can feel the sense of despair growing inside me. This world is so cruel and unforgiving, and it seems like there's no end in sight. As we make camp for the night, I hear the sounds of the monsters outside. I try to ignore them, focusing on the warmth of the fire and the company of my new companions. But as the night wears on, I feel myself slipping away. I think of my old life, the one before all of this, and I can't help but feel a deep sense of loss. And then it happens. I feel my body start to shut down, my lungs struggling to breathe. I know that it's the dead zone, the toxic air that's been slowly killing me from the inside. As my vision fades to black, I think of the things I miss from the time before all of this, the birds, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter. But most of all, I think of the people I loved and the life I used to have. I wish that I could go back to that time, but I know that it's impossible. This world is all that's left, and I've been consumed by it. The last thing I hear before everything goes dark is the sound of the monsters outside, their howls echoing in the stillness of the dead world.